There was a shooting by an ICE agent of a protester who was protesting what ICE was doing. And now it looks like there are going to be demonstrations and protests all over the US. That's what we're going to
Hmm.
be talking about in this video. Hey, Halsey, thank you so much for making yourself available.
Not a problem, my friend. I'm always happy to be here.
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. You
And
and
I
I, we
enjoyed
spoke.
the last one so much, I couldn't wait to get back.
Yes, you and I spoke about a month ago, and we're going to do this again. And the time right now is Thursday, the 8th of January. Well, that's the date. It's 4 minutes past 5 UK time, Thursday, 8th of January, when we're recording this. So people know because things happening so fast. And I'll
Always
have all
do.
the links where people can find you in the description below. And also, thank you to everybody who's subscribing, commenting, and liking, and really supporting my channel growing. Really appreciate it. Okay,
Hmm.
so tell me what's the deal with ICE and what's happening?
So it's a much bigger thing than just the fact that a protester got shot. That was going to happen sooner or later, no matter what. Okay, because the idea that ICE is going into immigrant communities and rounding up illegals and throwing them out is, as you know from where you are, a major left-wing problem. Like if you're talking about deporting people, you've now agitated the left wing 100%.
Right.
So they've been
Jose,
following them around, doxing
Jose,
them.
Jose, forgive me
Mhm.
for interrupting you. I just want to say something about that. You and I, we've spoken recently a month ago, and then we hadn't spoken for years and years and years, right? But for people new to the channel, what you got to know about me is I am a sort of reconstructed old school British lefty. I wasn't born in the UK, came to this country when I was very, very young. And I'm one of these people that oppose illegal immigration because it destroys a nation.
Yep.
Yeah. And I'm really clear. I'm going to get the blowback. My dad was interviewed. He came with his mum and he came with my mum and my brother and my sister, and we were settled and we interviewed and he had a job and we were integrated and contributed to society. And I know I'm at risk. So this notion that the left wing have, oh, you just got to let everybody in because it's racist to exclude them. Nonsense.
I've got you beat on that. When my grandfather came over from Germany in 1941,
Mm,
right? He escaped. He was on the Kinder transport out of Germany. His brother was killed at Auschwitz. His father was interned in Theresienstadt. Like if there's anyone that's fleeing persecution, it was my grandfather,
right.
right? First, he fled to Britain, and in Britain they threw him in jail because he spoke German. And then even though they had all his documentation, he was Jewish, whatever, they threw him in jail because he spoke German. And then after they let him out 3 months later, he had to have a relative sponsor him to come to the States and prove that he was fully employed from the moment he landed.
Yep.
So my another family member, I'm not sure which one, sponsored him and gave him a job at his business as an electrician. Now, my grandfather didn't know anything about electrician, being an electrician. He knew nothing about it. He'd never been an electrician before. So he showed up and was promptly fired like a couple of weeks later. And he got a visit from the government that like week. And they said, you have three choices: go back to Germany, find another job, or join the military. Like, and this is during World War II when they knew what he was going through. Like, that's what he joined the military. But I mean, and now we're talking about, oh, it's a shame that they're not allowed to rip off our countries for billions of dollars in welfare and cause crime and all of this. Now we're arguing that that gives them a right to stay
Yeah.
and invade our countries. It's disgusting. And in all honesty, I believe that all politics that are destructive to our society stem from here. Like I think that everything that we're going through as Western countries is starts with the illegal immigration and then goes downstream. The fact that we're so in debt, the fact that our social services are on the brink of collapse, the fact that we don't have enough workers, the fact that our birth rate is so low, like all of this stems from the fact that we think some weird leftist reason that we can import our way out of having to deal with telling people in our countries that they have to grow up.
Yep. And that it's a left-wing idea is also a complete con because old school British lefties like Tony Benn, Peter Shaw, George Galloway, Jeremy Corbyn even were all like, you got I remember listening to a speech by Tony Benn that you got to be careful, sensitive about immigration because it destroys local labor. It
Hmm.
impoverishes them, lowers their wage demands, but it makes wage costs cheaper for business and capital. So
Hmm.
anyway, okay. Well, that interlude, over to you again, and thank you for letting me interrupt you, but over to you again about
No,
ICE.
it's your show, bro.
No, no, we're
And
doing this
besides,
together, mate.
as far as I'm concerned, this is a back and forth. If it was just me giving a monologue, it would be called the Halsey English show. You know
Okay.
what I'm saying?
All
Like
right.
I come do these things because I enjoy talking to you. I like the back and
Thank
forth.
you. Thank you.
You know? But the thing is, this was always going to happen with ICE. They've been following ICE around and protesting anywhere they are. They've been, you know, I don't want to say assaulting, like meaning like punching them in the face, but like pushing them and trying to, dox them and follow them around and put up barriers so they can't get to the illegal immigrants. It was only a matter of time before one of these things turned deadly. Like you can only do so much before a law enforcement officer is going to respond. It's the way of the world, right? Like this woman, now there's a bit of an argument about whether she was like trying to run the guy over or not. I saw the video. To me, it looks like she was trying to run him over, but it doesn't matter. She wasn't supposed to be there in the first place. She's not supposed to be driving her car to interrupt federal law enforcement. And when they said get out of here, it doesn't matter. Like at that point, you're at risk already. If they say get your car out of here, you're obstructing federal law enforcement, guns are drawn. Like you don't have that option now to be like, oh well, let me just back out and try to drive. Like you follow instructions. You've not only broken the law yourself, but you put yourself in harm's way. And those people who are on edge, and listen, I'm a gunsmith, I'm a firearms instructor, I do all kinds of training with people all the time. Anyone knows, I don't care if you're a military member, I don't care if you're a law enforcement officer, I don't care if you're a civilian. When you're in a position where guns are drawn and they're in your hand and the adrenaline is flowing through your body and you're getting tunnel visioned and you're thinking I might be in a position right now where I have to defend my life, you can't then say that person should be 100% giving everyone the benefit of the doubt and making sure that what they do isn't that big of a deal. And, oh, was she backing up because she was leaving or was she backing up trying to run him over? Like, you can't expect any human being, like federal law enforcement or not, to be able to just think 100% clearly at that point. So her
Right.
being there in the first point brought this on. But all of the left-wing agitators, the George Soros, the Reid Hoffmans, all of the Democrats who are trying to distract from the fraud in Minnesota and the fraud in California and the fraud in Texas, all these people that are trying to do this and to sink Donald Trump's presidency have been waiting. They've just been sitting around waiting for this to happen so that they can pile people in the streets and start rioting and all of that because the image of Trump using federal law enforcement to stop rioters is really damaging politically.
Yep. Yep. And there's been noises about this brewing anyway, that the left are going to
Hmm.
do something. And
As I said, we all knew it was coming. Like everyone knew it was coming,
yeah.
you know?
And the other thing I want to mention is the Cloward Piven strategy for people who don't
Hmm.
know. This was two sociologists from the United States, left-wing sociologists, who said, well, how do we go from the sort of mixed economy, democratic system that we have in the United States and well in the West to state control, socialism, or however they describe it, right? Well, you've got to
Hmm.
create crises that then have people begging the government to come to their rescue. And one of the ways you create this crisis, the George Soros's Open Society, the United Nations Replacement Program, I think that was authored
Hmm.
in 20, published in 2012, is you have large scale immigration. So legal
Hmm.
immigration and illegal immigration, both of which are
Hmm.
taking place in the absence of economic growth. So then it's
Hmm.
sucking up resources that would be used, there's well, for a smaller population, that those same amount of resources are now going to have to serve a much larger population. And
Hmm.
yeah, I see it in my job as a social worker because I work in child protection. And the area that I'm working in now, I worked in 10 years ago. It's in
Hmm.
London, and then I've noticed the change. And I notice
Hmm.
how there's far more people, new arrivals, who are having a share of the same resources. They
Hmm.
haven't expanded at all. So
Well,
everybody just gets
look at,
poorer.
let me give you a biological example, right?
Mhm.
I'm sure you've seen forest fires before, if anything, on the news,
Yeah.
right? Now, forest fires are 100% natural. In fact, there's a good portion of trees that can never be born without a forest fire. Their seeds are encased in a hard coating that will never break open without fire,
Hmm.
right? Now, in history, both humans and nature has had a symbiotic relationship with forest fires, right? Humans have when they've moved to certain areas, they've had controlled burns, they've had, the gathering up and the burning of brush, and animals do it by nature as well. So forest fires are supposed to exist, but lately, with all of the ecology and the this and the that and the state control, forest fires have gotten 1,000 times worse. And they tell you it's because of climate change, but that's bullshit, right? It's because there's not proper management of the wilderness, and there's not the ability of nature to take care of itself. So those things pile up now to the point where the fires are 1,000 times worse because the brush and the dead debris on the ground just keeps getting worse.
Right. And I would imagine, given how everything is being organized and we're being attacked from every single conceivable direction, is that this fire management is deliberately done bad deliberately.
You didn't lose me. I was still listening. I
No,
just
no,
my dog
I
came
was a bit
into my
distracted. I just
studio.
want to check. You okay?
Oh, yeah, no, my dog came into my studio, and since it's winter here, I just put down mouse poison because mice they come in the house because it's cold.
Right.
So I didn't want the dog rooting around in here because if it gets too near the mice poison, it could eat it and die.
Okay.
So
No
I
problem.
just
Well,
wanted to let him
I
back
got it.
out.
Here's what we're going to do is I'm going to I'm going to say something, note to the editor, and then I'm going to
Hmm.
be silent, and then I'll go back,
Okay.
make the point. Okay. So note to editor, cut out this bit, and I'm resuming again. You make a great point about the forest fires, Halsey, and I imagine, or I assume that they're being done deliberately badly because we're being attacked from every single conceivable direction, pretty much.
Yep.
So like one of the things that goes on, and I want to go back to what's happening in the United States, but a few years ago or something, the government said we have to have more ethanol in our fuel mixed in. Now,
Yep.
I'm not an expert, but I know that slowly degrades engines over
It
time.
not only slowly degrades engines, it costs more money to produce ethanol than it could produces savings or value for what it does. So just producing ethanol and the wear and tear it does on the car and the amount of money it takes to grow the corn and process it and all of that outweighs the savings that you get from even having it in the first place.
Right.
So, but hey, got to keep the farmers happy. They vote
Well,
first.
well, yeah, well, got to keep them happy, right? They grow ethanol instead of
Hmm.
growing bloody food or
Right,
corn,
but in
whatever it is.
in in the States, I don't know if you know this. There's a reason why ethanol is a thing. And it's not just because of corn, like it is because of corn farmers, but
Mhm.
it's because of the state of Iowa, the Iowa caucuses. The first primary voting and the first presidential voting and congressional voting in the country, the first state that holds its primaries is Iowa, which are primarily for corn farmers. If you don't win Iowa and you're running for president, there's a decent chance you don't win because that's how you get the momentum. You win the first state, you move to the second, you move to the third. So almost every president in history comes out and says, I want to expand ethanol. I want to do this because they're afraid of losing Iowa. It's
Right.
literally not even just corn farmers. It's just corn farmers in Iowa.
And who are the Iowa senators?
I don't know. I'd have to look it up.
Okay, I'm going to pause and just look that up for a second. Note to editor, cut this bit out as well. And then at the end, Halsey will go silent as well because the gaps show up when I'm editing. Okay, I got it. Chuck Grassley and Joni Ernst.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go silent. So the Iowa senators are Chuck Grassley and Joni Ernst.
Who are
And
two
I was
very
thinking,
powerful senators.
right, but I was thinking because Tom Luongo said in a video or a podcast or something that I heard him say what Trump could do is to get Grassley on board is cut the ethanol subsidies.
Hmm.
So that would change all that, right? And Trump is a bit of a disruptor because the other thing that he's done is he's taken the US out of something like is it 63 United Nations global organization?
68.
68.
68.
And
Hmm.
okay, and have you paid attention to this? Do you know which ones they are?
Hmm. Yeah, there's a whole list. I mean, they're all focused on climate change. And funny enough, quite a few of them are international security. But there's been, I mean, obviously, I'm an analyst that looks into this stuff on a regular basis.
Mhm.
Britain, France, and Israel and the US have been severely at odds about intelligence sharing over the last year or so. Israel basically cut off Britain completely from. Listen, if they hear about a terrorist attack happening in Britain, they're obviously going to warn them, you
Right,
know. But they're not like regularly providing intelligence because they say that they don't have any confidence the intelligence isn't going to get out, that it's not going to be leaked to their enemies. So, and the U.S. has kind of backed that up too. So, of the 68, there were quite a few international intelligence like committees and all of that they resigned from as well.
okay, okay, so Israel has stopped sharing intelligence with Britain because they're worried that Britain would give that information, say, to Hamas or Hezbollah or whatever.
Yep. Or that they would use that intelligence to publicize an upcoming Israeli move in order to stop it. Like if they saw evidence, like it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that if Israel reports Hezbollah moving more troops into southern Lebanon, that there's going to be a point where they're going to attack those Hezbollah troops if they continue moving into southern Lebanon. So what they fear, and it's happened a few times at this point, is that next thing you know, you have British MPs going out on TV saying, "We know Israel's about to attack Lebanon. They have no right to do this. This is a violation of this and a violation of that." And it creates not only diplomatic pressure, but it runs cover for some of the worst terrorist organizations out there.
Right.
And if you're sharing intelligence with other countries, then you have to have the confidence that those intelligence services are going to use it for the good and not for, weird political diplomatic, pressure. And
Okay.
unfortunately, like, listen, I hate to insult you a little bit, but you guys are shit stirrers. Like that's what Britain, that's what Europe does to stay relevant in areas where it can't military dominate anymore. They shit stir and figure in the chaos, people will turn to them for help. And then they can stir up because historically, at least, they've always been able to shit stir, get themselves in over their head, and then call America in to come bail them out and take over for the dirty work. Well, Trump's not playing that game, and I don't think Israel is anymore either, because over the years it hasn't produced anything good for them.
Right.
So,
And by the way, I completely agree with you on the British Empire, the remnants of the British
mhm,
Empire, the international banking cartel or barking cartel, the City of London, shit stirring, because it is how this little island nation managed to rule over so much of the world for so long. Because Keir Starmer and a lot of his cabinet are members of Friends of Israel. And then
mhm,
I've seen reports how the British base in southern Cyprus was
mhm,
being used to fly intelligence sorties that they're providing intelligence for the IDF.
mhm.
So they are absolutely playing both sides to get both
It's
answers.
yeah. let
fighting
me
each other.
explain this. And when I post this video after you do,
Hmm.
I'm going to get a ton of shit for this, but I do say it quite often, so I'm okay with it. It doesn't serve us any good in order to say that like one side is doing the right thing and one side is doing the wrong thing. Okay,
Yes.
countries don't have morals; they have interests. And those interests don't necessarily align with other countries. So just because something is the right thing to do doesn't mean it's in the interest of all nations to do that thing. It might be the right thing to do, theoretically, if you're looking at things only from a moralistic angle. But as I said, countries don't have morals, they have interests.
Mm.
So when you say like, okay, is Britain anti-Israel because they support a two-state solution? Now, I know because I'm an analyst and I've lived there and I've studied this intensively that a two-state solution is not only unviable, but it won't produce peace. Okay.
Hmm.
So, to me, being up for a two-state solution, especially when I think you're as intelligent as the British government, to some extent, or at least have access to the same information at least I do,
Yes.
right? Like, so I could sit back and go, oh, look, they're anti-Israel. Well, no, they're not. It just means that a two-state solution might be in their interests, and they don't care about the negative aspect that Israel will have to endure for it because their country isn't Israel. Their country is Britain, and
Yeah.
they have their own interests. It doesn't make them anti-Semitic. It doesn't make them anti-Israel. It just means they're pursuing their own interests.
Yes.
But that being said, I think we're finding this more and more, and I've been kind of a dick about this on social media and stuff like that. I'm finding more and more that the needs and interests of Europe don't ally at all with the needs and interests of America. And it's causing a rift which is becoming almost hostile. Like listen, I don't think America and Europe are going to war anytime soon or anything like that. But I think that the special relationship which has allowed Europe to receive at nicely put like preferential treatment when it comes to world affairs, I think those times are ending. And I think that when you look at that, like, okay, first it was the British Empire, then it was the Allies that won World War II, and then it was Vietnam, and then it was the War on Terror and all of that. Like the relationship has been slowly degrading because the credibility of the British and French governments, who were once world empires, has degraded over time because they're able to accomplish less over time. It used to be if you were allied with Britain, you could win any war on the planet. Even before America was a thing, Britain, like what, the sun never set on the British Empire, like, and over time, it's gotten to the point where there's no benefit to having a preferential relationship with Britain if our interests are not allied, which I don't believe they are anymore.
Oh,
So,
absolutely. Absolutely.
so that's what I think you're seeing. I know I'm giving you like the real long-winded answer, but
Jose,
that's what I think you're seeing.
yeah, and I completely agree with you. And nations would be foolish. Individuals would be foolish to not act in their own self-interest.
Sure.
It'd be like, look, even having this conversation is in my self-interest because I get to learn from you. I post it on my channel.
Hmm.
New people will come along, comment, like, share, all that business. My videos are monetized. I'm not throttled on this channel as I was on the other channels. And then you come on, there's your self-interest. You learn from me. This will go on your channel as well. People will subscribe, comment, and like, and this conversation will grow. And that's in our larger self-interest because we don't want to live in a world where we're confined to 15-minute cities and eating bugs,
Right.
owning nothing, because that ain't
Okay.
going to make
Well,
me
I mean,
happy.
also, and let me be clear, this doesn't apply to you as a person,
Yeah,
but people will say to me, why would you go on that show and talk to him when you disagree on X, Y, and Z? Right? You're very passionate about this, he's really passionate about that, or your different religions, whatever it may be.
yeah,
I can say number one, I like you, so having this conversation is enjoyable to me. Like
great.
it's not like I don't feel like this is a hostile environment or anything.
No.
But even in a hostile environment, maybe I just want to make myself better. Maybe I want to be challenged because I've gotten too comfortable in answering critics or in the way that I look at certain situations or the way that I evaluate the whole picture as opposed to just the picture of my own self-interests.
Yeah.
right? Because if my self-interest don't mean shit if your self-interests are more powerful and more pronounced than mine, right? So at the same time, like I want to have these conversations. My fear at this point, and this goes back to what I was saying about Europe and the US,
Mm.
no one wants to have these conversations anymore. They
No.
just want to win. They want to be, I'm right, you're wrong, you suck, you're going to live with this no matter what,
Yeah.
right? And by
It,
the way, if you want to compare ICE to what happened with ICE, it's exactly the same thing that happened with those hunger strikers in Britain. The ones that they broke into the Israeli military factory and they hit that cop with a sledgehammer and broke her back, and then they got out and they said like we're on hunger protest, and all the Jeremy Corbyns and the George Galloways are out there. No, the government needs to speak to them. Their health is at risk. Well, eat a hamburger, bitch. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if it isn't like you have a mystery disease. We like if your health is at risk, it's because you're refusing to eat. Like the government shouldn't be discussing releasing you because it might impact your health to continue starving yourself. Like, but that's the ICE protest right now. Even though she was breaking the law, even though she drove hundreds of miles to come to a protest that had nothing to do with her, even though she tried to run over a federal officer, well, she's on our side. Therefore, you're wrong for trying to enforce the rules because you're the wrong side. And the rules don't apply to you anymore. They only apply to us. And that's where our disconnects are coming is that we believe the rules don't apply to the other side.
Jose, it's great what you say, because I don't agree with everything that you say. I don't agree with everything Tom says or Susan Kokindo or Alex
Sure.
Grainer, right? But I'm willing to listen and learn. And I think there's a going back to self-interest. I think that's just really important. There are some people who actually think it's in their self-interest to cancel others.
Hmm.
Now, if I was of that view, there's, you know, I'm not going to name, right? There'd be people on my channel that I'm not having them on my channel anymore,
Yeah, I don't
right?
have to offer everybody a platform for
Yeah,
sure.
but then I don't get to learn
Hmm.
because I actually consider it's in my self-interest. I will speak to anyone as long as they're willing to have civil conversations with me. Do you know, on my old channels, I've even had this party called Rejoin EU on my channel a couple of times.
Ooh.
Uh, But it was a great
And
conversation.
I don't know if you were around for this. In 2018, there was a phenomenon. It was really big in the States. They were called internet blood sport debates, right? And they would get people like Nazis and Jews to debate, but there was no rules. Like you didn't have to be nice. You could insult people. You could like it was just no holds barred. So I could live there. Like that's made for me, right?
See,
So.
I'm a polite Briton. I'll be like, no, let's just stick to the subject.
Right. So the first debate that I had on this huge channel, we've got hundreds of thousands of viewers, and we're getting ready to go at it. And this guy's like Mr. Nazi, like he hates Jews, right? And so he starts on this monologue, and the first thing he says is, "And in this world, if you criticize Jews or Jewish power, the first thing they're going to do is tell you to shut up and try to cancel you and try to do this." I said, "No, no." His name was Mike. I said, "No, Mike, I don't want to cancel you. I want to give you the biggest mic possible, the biggest microphone I can find, because when people see you and people hear you, they realize what a titanic piece of shit you are. They're not taking some kind of little soundbite that sounds good for the media for the day and saying, oh, see, he's reasonable about some things. They're just going to realize that you are a titanic piece of shit and they're going to shun you because no one wants to talk to you. It's not canceling you. It's that no one wants to listen to your mouth because it's so stupid. And he's like, and he's trying to like come back at it. I'm like, no, Mike, there is no comeback to this. You're trying to say, I want you to be quiet. I'm trying to say, I want you to speak up. And for some reason, me telling you to speak up has made you lose your voice. It was one of the first like blows of the debate. I mean, the debate was a slaughter. I destroyed him in that debate, but he was literally in tears at the end of it, but it's, I firmly believe that. Okay. Like, I think there's a difference when you're talking about foreign influence in terms of like, if you have Pakistan funding bot farms for disinformation, that's not speech. That's political.
It's
That's like
propaganda.
literally like, yeah,
It's
and it's
propaganda.
also it's government slash military slash subversive, behavior. Like that's not about speech. That's about influencing politics with lies and propaganda. That's like military shit.
Yeah, it's
Like,
a abusive behavior because you have a more powerful entity
mhm,
suppressing, restricting the freedom of a less powerful entity. You know, when you talked about this video you did with this guy or whatever, right? Internet blood
mhm,
sports or something. There you have one guy talking to another guy. That's it.
mhm.
There isn't like, oh, some massive power imbalance. And what you've reminded me of, and I'm interested in your views on this, is I don't know if you know about Ofcom in the UK and what they're doing. They want to
Uh,
restrict.
maybe.
Uh, I think they've issued notices to 4chan and a few other companies in the United States about the stuff that they're producing, and said that you're violating our Online Safety Act in the UK.
Mhm. Which is
Sorry, in the
ridiculous in the
US.
first
That
place.
you're broadcasting this from the US,
Oh, they're
and
the
you're
ones we sanctioned. They're the ones we sanctioned because they tried to go after Elon Musk, right?
No, I don't. No, they've not gone after Elon Musk yet. Not yet. No.
They were the same thing in Europe, and maybe that's the EU
Yeah, the
group
EU
that
are
does
doing that,
something
right?
similar.
The EU
Yeah,
are doing that, but this is so Britain's passed this law, Online Safety Act, in order to protect children for their own
of
good,
course.
right?
Everything's always for the children.
It's always for the all for our own good, right? So they've
Right.
sent letters to these companies that based in the US. They don't have servers in the UK, and you can't. You need to. We're going to fine you until you start putting in measures and following our compliance rules.
Oh, I know this firsthand. Do you know I'm not allowed in Britain? They'll turn me away at the border if I try to land.
Okay.
I don't know if you'll know this name. Do you know who Jada Franson is?
No, no.
She's a politician. She was with the Britain First, but she had a break off with Paul Golding, and now she's like doing her own thing. It's like another similar thing to Britain First.
Mhm.
But I used to interview her on my YouTube channel. She's kind of gone off like on the whole like Jewish thing lately, so I haven't talked to her in years. But we used to be very close, and I had her on my podcast, which was sin enough for Britain. But she had been arrested and did time for saying mean things about rape gangs, right? So they use the formal reason of associating with known felons. So that's why I'm not allowed into
Wow.
Britain. Because I was supposed to come meet up with Sargon of Akkad and a few other people that are my friends. They were doing like this rally at what do you call it? Speakers Corner, I think it's
Biggest
called.
school in Hyde Park, yeah.
Yeah, so I was supposed to go there and I was going to speak as one of like 20 speakers that day. And I was talking to someone and they said, I think it was Jared Taylor and Michael Savage and a few other like kind of American media personalities flew to Britain and were stopped at the border and told that they were on a list and weren't allowed in. You should probably like make a call and see like, because the last thing you want to do is fly overseas, land at customs, and then be turned back around. Right. So I called my lawyer and I said, listen, can you check into this for me? And at the time, the Brexit hadn't happened yet.
Hmm.
So he got back to me. He's like, oh, no, you can't. Not only can you not go to Britain, you're banned from the entire EU. So they made it like a whole EU thing. Now, since then, from what I understand, I can go into the EU because of Brexit, but I still can't go to Britain for
Wow.
associating with known felons because I had this woman on my podcast. And we
Wow.
never said anything like all that outrageous just because it was her. Like, and she's anti-Muslim. So,
Wow.
you know,
Wait, you know what happened to George Galloway?
he got
He
hit by
went,
the retard stick and fell on the ground and started babbling.
no, no, I don't know about that, right? He was in Russia for some conference or something and flying
Hmm.
back with his wife, British citizen, MP several times, was stopped at the airport and held by under the Terrorism Act. And the Terrorism Act is this evil piece of legislation, in my opinion, because they said, we're not arresting you, but you're not free to go, and you don't have the right to silence. And then they quizzed him, and they quizzed him, and they quizzed him, and they wanted passwords, to get into his detail, his devices and stuff, and he refused, is what he said, and he's now left Britain. He's in exile because
So I think
as it
what it would have been appropriate is if they gave him the death penalty for that. I hate George Galloway. Like his prop like it's as I said, I can have people I disagree with,
Mhm.
but he's a propagandist. Like he comes on social media and says outright lies. Like he puts up AI videos and goes, "Look what's happening in Palestine right now. Look what's happening in the US." And they're obvious bullshit. And he gets community noted where they're like, "This is a picture from Syria in the mid 2000s. Like, why are you putting this up?" And he just ignores it and leaves these posts up. Like, I'm fine with disagreeing with people. If you need to lie to make your point, we're not having a discourse anymore. Now we're enemies. Now it's my job to show that you're not of a different political opinion. You're a piece of shit who needs to try to manipulate people to hate me. And that I don't put up with.
Right. I do think the death penalty is a bit severe for lying because
I know. I
we
was
all
being hyperbolic.
all
Come
right,
on.
we all lie. We all lie, right?
Yeah.
Um,
No, listen, the death penalty should be reserved for like very special instances like Jeremy Corbyn, like not George Galloway. You know?
Oh dear, Halsey, what we gonna do? What we gonna do with each other, right?
You know
I
what we're
don't
going to
hold the
do,
same point
Crypto
of view
Rich?
about them.
You know what we're going to do? We're going to do exactly what we're doing right now.
Keep
We're going
talking.
to have a white guy in a cowboy hat talking to a brown guy with nothing on his head, and we're going to have conversations where we laugh and we discuss these things and we talk about how we're going to make the world better for our respective people
For
and how at
everybody.
that point we can work together to make things better for
Absolutely.
everyone. And as long as we keep having these conversations, we don't have to fear that tomorrow we're going to be fighting each other. You
Absolutely.
know, because when the talking, I think it was JFK that said something like when conversation becomes impossible, revolution becomes inevitable. You know, like it's true. If we can't talk, all that's left to do is fight.
Yeah, when the
And
talking stops, the shooting starts.
exactly, you
Yeah.
know, and I don't want to, I don't want that for my kids. You have kids, I have kids. You know
I
what
don't
I'm
want
saying?
that for
Like,
the
listen,
world.
if it's gonna
Not in
come,
my
I'd rather it come
self-interest or
now when I'm
yours.
still young enough to fight it.
Yeah.
Huh?
It's not in our self-interest.
The only thing that's in my self-interest is that at this point, my kids are younger. Like my oldest is 16, my youngest is 8.
Mhm.
Like if the war is going to come, I'd rather it come now when I'm young enough to fight it and I don't have to watch them fight it. But that's just me being stupid. Like I don't really think like we're about to head to World War III. I don't think that we're about to see civil wars breaking out. Listen, these things could change on a dime. They do all the time. But at the same time, right now, I think you're going to get my globalism spiel real quick. That this is something I tell people all the time. I get a lot of shit for this too, by the way. People love to talk about the failure of globalism, right? They love to talk about how globalism encouraged mass migration. Globalism got all these sweatshops and encouraged countries like China to become rich, and you know, like they love to shit on globalism, right? The problem with globalism wasn't that it failed. The problem with globalism was it was so wildly successful that no one knows what to do with it anymore.
Yeah.
Everyone is working without a net. That's why every time you see a public opinion poll, it has no relevance because they're unable to predict what actually will happen. Like they'll say 80% of the country is against this and is voting for this, and it just doesn't happen, you know, because no one knows what's coming next. No one knows what to do with this. I saw a great statistic. At the turn of the century, of the 19th century, from 1800s to 1900s, 83% of the population of the world lived in abject poverty, like gut-breaking, teeth-smashing, starving to death poverty, right? That number is 10% now, like globally.
Wow.
Like globalism has been such a resounding and smashing success that we now are so abundantly taken care of that we have the ability to sit around and argue about whether we should have universal basic income or guaranteed retirements or stuff. Like, do you think in the 1800s they were arguing with each other about the government paying for their retirement or their health benefits or anything? They were trying to find food. or a job that didn't make them work 80 hours a week to make $1 a day.
Mm.
Like we have advanced so far as a society that we don't even talk about big shit anymore. We just argue over little squibbly stupid nonsense. And you have all these groups like, and trust me, I am not standing up for them. I want to make that clear. But like the WEF, right? To me, they're evil because they are. But they are one group of opinions. What do we do with this level of abundance? Right? Like, do we fight climate change? Do we give benefits to everyone? Do we encourage mass migration so that we can all fuck our way out of this and become one big slop of people that have no cultural identity anymore? Like, these are all things that people have been talking about forever, but it's always been theoretical because the abundance was never there, right? You were never able to say, like, there's enough here that we can do something about it. Now it's not theoretical and people have no clue what to do. And what you're seeing is the worst of people because the fraud is engulfing everyone.
Yeah.
Because the people that have never had the abundance now have a taste of it. And the old world, the old third world is coming back out. And now you're seeing like these massive frauds. And locally, stopping fraud isn't that hard. If you run a food pantry and some guy shows up 9 times in one day, you could say, hey, you were already here 8 times. I'm not giving you any more food. Get lost, right? But when you're talking about a federal bureaucracy, it's not just that they encourage it, it's that they have no clue how or why or when it's happening. They don't know how to detect this shit. There's just too much of it. I had an uncle. He was the undersecretary of the Treasury here in the U.S. Right? He just recently died, but he was in charge of I want to say it was Hurricane Katrina, but I don't remember which one. It was one of the bad hurricanes in the South that a lot of people died and billions of dollars in damages. And he was saying that the government allocated. I'm making these numbers up because I only know the percentages, right? Like the government allocated $70 billion to get properties back on, to give people assistance, to do all to clean up, to do all of this. In that 70 billion, they included the notion that 20% of it at minimum would go to fraud. They just like when they allocated the number, they said, well, we know 20% of it is going to go to fraud. So if we need $50 billion, we have to allocate 70 because $20 billion is going to go to fraud. And he just said this as if it were like just like, of course, that's how these things work, you know?
Incredible. That's absolutely incredible.
Hmm.
I agree with you about globalism being successful
Hmm.
in as much as like how it's we could, we got organizations like the European Union, the United Nations, World Health Organization. So the globalists have really, really been served by it. However, I'd add this that it's crumbling. And why the WEF are, and I think you'd agree with me, why the WF are doing what they're doing, they want to kill us off because the fraud of the fiat system,
Hmm.
that's coming home. It's
Yep.
unsustainable. So in that regard, globalism isn't successful and effective because it's built on this fraudulent foundation with no integrity, which is the fractional reserve banking and fiat currencies. And then how come China's been so successful is because it's followed something that's actually akin to the American system of political economy, where they've
Hmm.
directed their money towards enriching their people, productive capacity, serving the needs of their people, having tariffs, taking care of their own. And then they've
Hmm.
taken advantage of globalism by exporting their goods. And then idiot nations like in the West destroying our own manufacturing so we can suck up cheap Chinese goods and losing
Hmm.
all resilience and sustainability. I remember looking at some book of statistics sometime in the mid to late 80s, maybe late 80s. And at the time, I noticed there were many, many countries that were self-sufficient in terms of food. They could feed their own population. And actually three that come to mind at the time I read this book, Albania, Zimbabwe, and Pakistan. They're
Hmm.
no longer self-sufficient with their own
Nope.
food production. And I don't know, Russia is, there may be a few others, but mostly because of globalism, they've destroyed their self-sufficiency. And then you
Hmm.
have someone like Ibrahim Traore in in Burkina Faso. And just now, as we're recording this, a video that I recorded with an African journalist has just gone live. on my channel about how if you want to know what Trump wants to do, what he's causing for what he wants for the United States, in my opinion, and what JFK and Lincoln and McKinley created or wanted to create for the United States, look at what Traore is doing in Burkina Faso, which is
Hmm.
the antithesis of globalism.
Right. There was a book, and the guy who wrote it is a complete douchebag. So but it was amazing that he wrote this book. It was a guy named Thomas Friedman. He wrote a book called The Lexus and the Olive Tree. Right. This was the Bible of globalism. And I don't care how right wing you are, which like even me growing up, like I look to the left and I see Genghis Khan. Like I'm as right wing as they come,
Mhm.
right? So even I finished it feeling like, wow, like the future is really global. Like we're solving problems that are changing the world. But it turned out to be the book's predictions, like hardly any of them came true.
Right.
But he had warned in the book, the whole reason it was called The Lexus and the Olive Tree is he kept pointing to the idea that globalism represented by the Lexus was always going to come into conflict with culture, which was the olive tree, right? And that basically every globalist, like the lefties know, the only way that everything is going to really change is if culture is destroyed, if we become one culture.
Yeah.
Which they figure that sooner or later that if you import enough people all over the place, everyone will start, as I said, they'll start screwing each other into a big slop of people that can't identify with any singular culture, and then we'll all be able to just happily live ever after, you know?
And Halsey, what comes to mind for me is the Soviet Union,
Hmm.
the world's only atheist state at the time, Albania under Enver Hoxha, and also Cambodia under Pol Pot. They wanted to wipe out the existing culture, get rid of anybody who they thought was intelligent, and then start again from year zero,
Yep. Sounds
because
about
then
right.
they can lord it over people. And I don't know if how relevant left and right are anymore. It's more about sovereignty and freedom.
And culture. It's about
Yes,
culture.
yes, yes, yes,
So
yes, yes. J-
there's nothing wrong with being tribal. Okay? There isn't. As long as you understand that the reason you're preserving your culture is for the benefit of your people. And if it comes down to it that the benefit of your people requires hurting other people, then your culture belongs back where it's going to be more accepted. Like if you're going to bring culture from Pakistan, that's fine. But if that culture conflicts with Britain to the point where you have rape gangs and crime and all of this, then go back to Pakistan.
Yeah,
You have a whole country filled with your culture,
no,
you know? And
absolutely.
and and I'm so tired of this argument that, oh, they come here, diversity is our strength. We want them here to make us better. Go make your own country better. If your presence is so great, then make your country into not a shithole. I
Well,
say this about Indians all the time. People are like, "Oh, you don't like Indians." Doesn't matter whether I like them or not. If you keep saying we're bringing the best and the brightest, and they're here to run our companies and do our programming. Why don't they just stay in India and make India less of a shithole? Isn't that better for the world if they make India into a big, beautiful country?
well, Halsey,
You know?
that's one of the reasons I voted for Brexit, and it's something that I think the left uh, Remainers, the open borders or the relaxed immigration lefties or whatever people ignore is so with the European Union, Romania, the Romanian government has spent all this money educating its doctors, educating its teachers, educating its engineers, and then the most productive sections of society are the ones that leave to work as, teachers and construction workers in the UK or in Germany, depriving the Romanian government of their productive labor and wealth from those people. So all these people coming over, well, their host countries are losing out.
Hmm.
So, so it's a form of imperialism because in the end, who benefits are the oligarchs, those with the most wealth and power and muscle who don't care about borders because
The
they're sitting right
oligarchs
on
are
the top of
always
the
going to
tree.
benefit in any society. Like, I don't think we've ever lived in a world where the rich didn't benefit more than everybody else.
Sure.
Like, that's just the world we live in. But the idea should always be that the next generation is going to live better than the generation before them.
Yeah.
If you can accomplish that for people, like people love to point to the 80s in America with Reagan and say, well, the rich just got incredibly richer, right? So did the middle class.
Mm.
Poverty went to next to nothing in the US because the poor became middle class. There was upward mobility. Did the rich get richer? Yes. Guess what? Sorry to tell you, they always will. And the sooner you accept that, the more happy you're going to be. Because if you think that rich people are the problem because they have money, even if you strung them
No,
all up and killed them the next day, then there'll just be someone else that's rich and has money,
no,
you know?
you make a valid point. What I'm in that instance, right, where everybody's benefiting, that's
Hmm.
good. But in the instance of mass immigration, no, the only people that benefit are the very rich. Everybody else gets impoverished. And I see it in my job as a social worker.
Hmm.
Okay, Halsey, anything you want to say before we finish up?
No, I really enjoy these talks. I hope we can have them more often, not just because like it helps me promote my channel, but I really do enjoy these talks.
Well, listen,
So,
thank you so
you
much.
know.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it too, right? And
Hmm.
fingers crossed at some point.
I said to Tom Luongo yesterday, I said, "Oh, I'm doing Crypto Rich tomorrow." He goes, "Yeah, I enjoy doing his shows." I said, "So do I." I said, "Yeah, the only thing is he's so cheery. I feel like I need to go out and kill something after, like go hunting and go like kill a
Tom said
deer or
that to you.
two." You
Dude.
know, I said that to Tom.
All right,
I
right,
said
right.
he's so cheery. I feel like I need to go kill something afterwards, just to kind of like get angry again.
Okay.
But it's a compliment.
Thank you,
Don't get me
thank you.
wrong.
Well, Halsey, it's if I can get a little bit personal, right? For me, it's such a treat. It's such a treat to have conversations like this with with people with big brains and sharp analytic skills like you and Alex Grainer and Tom Luongo and Susan Goginda and all the others, right? I think I'm the lucky one. I'm the lucky one. Thank you so much. So why shouldn't I have a big grin on my face? And I'm getting to the point, fingers crossed, right, that I will have more time to devote to my channel as long as it continues on this path of success. All right, Jose, thank you so much. I'll have all the links in the description below. And everybody, please subscribe, comment, and like. And if you're watching this on Jose's channel, please subscribe and comment and like Jose too.
His links will also be in the description on my channel.
Yes. All the best.
Okay,
Bye bye.
thanks, my friend.
Thank
Bye.
you.